Alex, councillors and the government, what have you got?
The heart of England, Northamptonshire, has seen an increasing, or should we say, the next level of police totalitarianism descend upon it, and not a regular member of the public either, but an elected representative for the Conservative Party, which is supposed to represent the heart of England. So this is Anthony Stevens, as reported by the Telegraph. For those listening without video, it's Stevens with a V if you wish to research what's been going on. Mr. Stevens is being done for hate speech. Well, that's, I'm afraid, par for the course these days. But the new element, apart from the nasty arrest, and there he is with his family who had to witness this arrest, is that he had said precisely nothing in a technical sense. He had been a retweeter of other things. So in one instance, a fellow councillor of his in Northamptonshire, ironically enough, the only black man on the county council, Mr. Lawal, had been suspended the previous month by the county Conservative group on the council, saying that he was not in agreement with LGBT pride as a Christian. And Councillor Stevens, who to my understanding is not a particularly known practicing Christian, but a free speech enthusiast, he calls himself a free speech absolutist, retweeted a petition calling for Councillor Lawal to be restored to the Conservative Party. If you value free speech, he said, please sign and share. Now, he was confronted when he was arrested at home following a complaint about hate speech by Northamptonshire police constables who said, you've tweeted this. Why do you support the petition? That is a league or two beyond anything I have seen British police do before, including the notorious Hull policeman saying when he was being recorded by an ex-policeman whom he was interrogating at home, I need to check your thinking. Stevens then said he's a free speech absolutist, does not necessarily agree with Councillor Lawal or his view of Christianity on everything. But then he was pressed further. Do you agree that pride is a sin? Do you agree that LGBT is a sin? And he sensibly replied, you could also be silent in such a situation, but a sensible reply, if you're going to give one, is what Councillor Stevens gave, which is it doesn't matter whether I agree with Mr. Lawal said it or not. I believe he has the right to say it without having his life torn apart. Another tweet of interest to the police, continues the Telegraph, involved the Quran burning. Now, obviously, this is a lot more sensitive and fewer people would support such material on Twitter than would support the previous example. But here, this may be the one that has led to his arrest under Section 19 of the Public Order Act, which is, having been written nearly 40 years ago as law, that Public Order Act doesn't talk about religious hatred, much less hate speech or identity. It talks about stirring up racial hatred, and he's been released on bail. So, as with Judaism, where there's a question, is it a race, is it a religion, or is it both? This is now being selectively applied to Islam as well, Brian. But problems don't stop there. In the neighbouring county of Leicestershire, in what I would personally regard, and it's the city of my birth, so I'm not being prejudiced here, but I would regard it as the corruptest city in England in a long list of them, but less well known than others. Leicester, the constituency of Leicester East, has had its entire constituency Labour Party suspended by the National Party, the National Executive Committee. This, of course, is the presumptive party of government as of next year or the year after. This is because the last but one member of Parliament, Keith Vaz, was notoriously corrupt and was on video doing things with rent boys and drugs. He was replaced by a lady who is fabulously thick, who's dropped a lot of clangers, and Guido Fawkes, a specialist website here, is saying, of course, we all know that this is a glove puppet for Mr. Vaz, but she got nominally kicked out of the Labour Party. The whole system in Leicester East seems to be fabulously corrupt. Down in Hackney, one of the inner London boroughs, the Evening Standard, London's newspaper for the metropolitan area, reports that the mayor, Philip Glanville, is posing here at a pro-Ukraine party, a house party for Eurovision, which most people know is in May. There's a problem with that date because he's posing there alongside Tom Dewey, a councillor on the borough council. But trouble is, not only had Dewey been elected to that position 1 week previously, but 2 weeks before this 14th of May Eurovision event, on the 29th of April, he had been arrested by the National Crime Agency, the closest thing Britain has to an FBI, for sadistic images of children, which he'd downloaded, and violent pornographic photos. They actually shared a house, these two men. And when pressed about this, Mr. Glanville said, I was told of his arrest, but not the full extent of his charges, and I shouldn't have been photographed at the event, but I did so not to draw attention to my knowledge of the situation. hardly really credible, and so he's been suspended as mayor of Hackney. Finally, in this segment on things going wrong in British politics, we go up to the royal family. Vanity Fair, and I've chosen this, it will be in the show notes because it covers some more of the primary reporting by the Daily Mail and the Telegraph, so follow the links through from this piece if you're in the show notes. Vanity Fair is reporting that the author, Andrew Lowney, is very annoyed because there has been no change despite the new reign, the succession by Charles III, to the old rule, which is that freedom of information requests, obviously journalists like him writing about the royal family want to know these, they will not be honoured for the heir to the throne or above, so the king or queen or the heir to the throne, and for any other members of the royal family, including Prince Andrew, who of course was second heir to the throne before the Queen's demise. They won't be released for 105 years after the subject's birth. And this is, of course, rather interesting in a context where Prince Andrew seems to be chumming up again to the Prince and Princess of Wales, perhaps not so much to his own brother, the current king, but is coming back into the bosom of the royal family. But we're not going to get any freedom of information material on him.
Yes, it's one rule for them and another for us.